Hey guys, welcome back to Chariot Palmistry. My name is Sulabh Jain, and in this video I want to give you guys my predictions on what's going to be happening economically in the month of May. And we're going to look at gold, silver, Bitcoin, the cryptocurrencies, the stock market, and all that fun stuff. But before we do that, let's jump into my predictions from last month to see how we fared with those. And it's a bit of a mixed bag because one of my predictions, actually going all the way back to March, was that there would be a major Bitcoin price rise from the middle of March into the middle of April. And that technically happened. I think the price went up like 20% or something, but then it's corrected a big way since then. For those of you who are into Bitcoin, pay attention to the predictions I make at the end of this video, because I think this thing's going to continue going up. This correction is just a blip in the road to much higher things. I also predicted a stock market correction happening from the end of March into the middle of April, and that did not take place. The prediction on a major Ethereum price rise did actually happen. I'm very happy with this one. It's up something like 60% on the month. What makes me even happier though is the next prediction on a major price rise for Ripple. At one point this had tripled in the last 30 days. Gold silver also had a price rise until the third week of April. In fact, I think the 21st of April ended up being like the short-term high for this. Gold was up like 10%, silver was up like 15% or something like that. Since then, it has fallen off a bit, but only like 2 or 3%. So it's too early to tell if the sixth prediction of a gold-silver price pullback will come out or not, because we'll wait till the end of the first week of May to check in on that one. My other prediction on a commodities boom lasting several years is already starting to take shape too. Copper is at an all-time high, iron ore is at an all-time high, oil is very close to a multi-year high as well. So although it's too soon to tell if this is a boom that's going to last several years, I think for the month at least the prediction's been right. My last prediction for the month, a general stock market rise from the middle of April, has taken place too. It's nothing exciting to write home about, but it's an upward trend that's undeniable too. So for those of you keeping score, that puts our total at 12 out of 15 predictions so far this year. And I want to switch over and talk about our political predictions as well. Because the stimulus and money printing, that's already taken place this year. We've had a new variation of the COVID virus in the UK. There's been a civil war and rebellion in Myanmar. So far, the UK, Australia and Canada are performing really well economically. There's been a huge housing boom in these three countries in particular. I'll come back and I'll talk about that in more detail in just a minute when I talk about the housing boom in general, my predictions for that. But I do want to talk about points 2 and number 6 over here. Because right now, the rise of India is looking very, very perilous. India's going through this terrible second wave right now with more than 300,000 people being found infected every day. And that number's probably an understatement anyway. It could be as high as 500,000 or even 1 million even. But the reason I want to talk about this is firstly to give my condolences to any of you who are watching from India who've had family and loved ones who have died these past few weeks. But the bigger picture for India, and I'm making this prediction based off the hands of Narendra Modi, the bigger picture for India is that it's actually going to be entering into its golden age. That's going to be happening in the second half of this year. So after June ends, so once we get into the first week of July, you're going to notice India starting to rise up out of these ashes. It's always the darkest before the dawn, and that's going to be the case over here. What that means is my predictions for COVID in India is that, unfortunately, we're looking at another 8-week struggle here. The virus itself may not take a toll for 8 weeks, but there'll be political fallout and other ramifications that it's going to rattle the country for at least the next 2 months. And then, on the other side of that, India starts to rise. We'll come back and talk about that in more detail later. But I also want to draw your attention to point number 2 here about a new Middle Eastern conflict or war. The last time we talked about this, I think it was in March. And literally the day I posted a video on this, I think the US bombed Syria. That didn't amplify into a bigger war or conflict. However, in the last few days, the US Navy has fired shots at Iranian vessels. And although it looks like this may not develop into a full-fledged war either, we can see the pressure building up over here. in the Middle East. There's a common denominator between the US bombing Syria and the US Navy firing warning shots at the Iranians. That's this new administration. You can say all the bad things you want about Donald Trump, but at least he didn't start a new war. And actually, on the topic of this new administration, I want to switch over to a screenshot of a video I made on the hands of Kamala Harris. One of my predictions there was that in April of 2021, she would have a major career boost, or like a raising in her profile. I wasn't sure how that would manifest or how to define that even, but what's actually happened there is Biden has actually put her in charge of the migration situation at the US-Mexico border. So that prediction looks like it's come out right. Now I want everyone to keep their eyes on Kamala Harris in November for this so-called job promotion. And I'm putting that line in inverted commas here because I'm not quite sure how that's going to manifest. Either Biden's going to give her more and more high profile projects to run, or she could even end up taking the top job at that point, even though we don't see the results of that until March, April of 2022. So keep your eye on that one. So those are my previous predictions. Let's have a look at what's going to be happening in this month. The first of my predictions actually carries on from last month, and that's about a gold-silver price pullback happening from the end of April into the first week of May. Put a question mark on it just a little earlier. We'll come back in a month's time and see how that panned out. I'm also predicting a major real estate boom that's going to be taking place around the world. There's going to be a few countries that benefit especially from this, and a few sectors within the real estate market I think that will do especially well during this multi-year boom. And there are some countries that have already started this boom, like, as I said, the UK, Canada and Australia. I made this prediction, I think, at the very end of last year when everyone was saying it's all doom and gloom for the real estate sector. I was saying, guys, this is actually going to keep booming or keep rising. We're starting to see that effect already happen. One of the things that happened this last month is that Biden announced a new stimulus program, which is giving many, many billions of dollars to the real estate market. What you're going to see over the next few years is more and more government programs pushing up the price of real estate. So if you're struggling to buy a home now, it's going to be an even bigger struggle in a few years from now. And at this point, I should also mention I've made a video on the entire real estate market and how I think that's going to be going over the next few years. It's in our members section, and if you guys do want to become a member on this channel, you get access to videos just like that. It only costs a few dollars, and I've got a link to it in the description section below. Thanks, but coming back to these predictions. I'm also predicting a gold and silver price rise taking place over this month. There's going to be a slight pullback, I believe, in the last week or two of May, but I don't think that's anything serious to be worried about. I'm also predicting a continuation of the stock market rise over most of this month. However, I believe there's going to be a minor stock market correction taking place from the third week of May into the middle of June. I don't think that's on the cards anytime soon, but a 5 or perhaps 10% drop, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Bitcoin, I believe, is going to be going up a lot this month, as will Ethereum. But the one I'm really excited about is a Cardano price rise. I'm going to time that from roughly the third week of May into the third week of June. And my last prediction for the month of May is more stimulus. This prediction is also one I made at the very end of December of last year, and most likely it's going to end up happening with this new Biden proposal. Let's see how that goes. And that, guys, is my prediction for the month of May. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. Thanks a lot.